fix anything. Except that.
Metal is dead.
I thought I'd make a video of what I had to go through and everything to build my PC. There is no video of me building my PC. No one was around at the time that I built my PC to actually do anything, like record me doing it or anything like that. So there's not going to be any footage. You guys are just going to enjoy some gameplay of whatever's in the background. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So rewind about a year ago, and I wanted to build my own PC, not just for gaming. I wanted to build it mainly so I can render videos faster was the main big thing. My PC that I currently had, I could render videos, it would do pretty good, but it took an hour or so, which is way better than what I originally started off with YouTube. What I originally started off with YouTube was the simple fact being I would render a video. This was with EasyCap. This was with HD PVR, okay? I'd render a video and it took 5 hours. It would take 5 hours to render the video. Yeah. So there was that. Then we fast forward to where I got a desktop. That would take 2 hours to render like a 5-10 minute video, okay? So I decided, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to be able to render videos faster and stuff like that, make content, maybe play a little bit of games on the side. So then I decided I'm going to build my own PC. It was a big step forward. I was actually scared of messing up, some component parts or whatever, and, messing that up and whatever. But then I told myself, I was like, if you mess up anything like the motherboard or whatever, you could just buy it again, you know what I mean, while you're installing it or something like that, if you just so happen to mess it up. And that's what I told myself, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Did a little bit of research, found out what parts were compatible with what parts, made sure to look into it in depth what I wanted. I didn't want to go for an i7. I didn't want to go for an i3. So I just stuck with a normal i5. I didn't get a CPU cooler. I got the stock CPU cooler that comes with the Intel that you normally buy, unless you get I don't think a Skylake actually has a stock CPU cooler that comes with it, or there are some CPUs that don't actually have those. So I looked up, did all the research, found out what graphics card I wanted to go. I wanted to go with Nvidia, not AMD, and the simple reason being was because of shadow play. I've had good experience with AMD in the past. Actually, one of the laptops that we had AMD in it, and it was a very good laptop. But I decided to go with Intel and Nvidia for the graphics card. Now I realized I probably could have built around the equivalent of what my PC is for a lot cheaper than it actually cost me. But I decided to go with Intel, and I decided to go with Nvidia. So I get all the parts, I find that all the parts are compatible, I go ahead and get that, and then all the parts come here, and I was working a job at the time. I was working, 6 hours. I'd work 6 hours, and I would go in, from 12 noon to, 6 at night, standard typical job, and I went and did that, and I got enough money to save up to build my PC, and I got all the parts, and I had everything, and you know what? I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to sit here one night and do it. And what actually wound up happening was I did not get the PC fully built because it took a long time, and I was just completely tired at that point because I didn't, I started, to give you a good example, I started at 8 p.m. at night. I started at 8 o'clock at night, and I finished building the PC, or finished putting in the motherboard, the power supply, doing all that, rerouting some cables, a whole bunch of other stuff. I finished doing that, okay, at 7 to 8 a.m. the next day. And the main reason why it took me so long was because figuring out the case, figuring out do this, do that. And the biggest thing, which took me the longest out of all that, was the fact the I/O shield would not line up with the case. That was the problem. So I had to figure out a way to fix that. I tried to get in contact with a whole bunch of stuff, figuring why it would not fit. And that was the biggest thing that took up the entire time of the night. It would have only took me literally 2 hours to just put the motherboard in and put the power supply in if the I/O shield would have actually stayed in like it was supposed to and pop in, but it does not. And, I didn't know why. So I went from 8 p.m. all the way till 7, 8 a.m. in the morning the next day. There was no one there recording me or anything, so that's why you guys got no footage of that or anything, or I got no footage to show. I put in the motherboard, the CPU, the motherboard, the CPU, the power supply, and then I left the RAM and the graphics card for later. And then the next night, I went to sleep 8 a.m., only got, give or take, an hour, 30 minutes, or an hour of sleep, and then off to work I went. And I went off to work, and then I came back home, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to finish it tonight. So this was yet another restless night of me building my PC again, and the main reason why this part was the restless, you'll find out in a little bit. But I put in the graphics card, I put in the RAM, it was all good to go. Made sure to put in the stock cooler, the CPU cooler, everything, all that good to go. The motherboard was in there, everything was all in there. And then came the part where I didn't have a DVD drive, but I had to install Windows. And if you go look, you will see that I uploaded, it's like the day after that I uploaded, I believe, right? Yeah, I think it's like the day after. There'll be a top annotation on the screen right now. If you click that, it'll take you to a video where it says pain in the ass part of my PC build. And that was actually uploaded the day after I had done it, okay? So you'll see that I had to take a normal standard desktop that you buy at someplace like Walmart or whatever, open that up, go ahead and unplug the DVD drive from the motherboard in that, and get the wires from the DVD drive in that, plug it into my motherboard, into my PC, and then use that DVD drive to install Windows onto my PC, because of the reason being that I did not have a DVD drive, because I wasn't able to factor that into the budget, and mainly I didn't have the money for it, was the essential reason why. So that happened, and then I did that, and got done installing Windows, put the other PC back together, okay, and went ahead and did that, and then put my PC together, hooked up my PC, and then the biggest thing happened, which is I had this thing where I'd put in the graphics card, but obviously I did not install all the NVIDIA stuff yet, so the graphics card driver was not installed yet, because I was just installing Windows. So it came of a little bit of a scare to me when I went to plug in I plugged in my HDMI cable into my motherboard, and after I installed the latest NVIDIA drivers and everything like that, and my computer restarted, there was no display. And I was like freaking out. I was like, why is this happening? I didn't really freak out. I was like, well, why is this happening? I need to figure out why this is happening. Turns out you have to plug the HDMI cable into the back of the graphics card HDMI port, not the motherboard one. That's what you have to do. So once I figured that out, I was all up and good to go, up and running. My render times are way faster than they used to be. For instance, just to give you a little bit of an example, 720p, okay, a 5-minute video, 720p 5-minute video would take me 45 minutes to an hour to render on my other PC. This PC that I built, okay, render times for a 1080p 60 FPS video that is 5 minutes long only takes 10 minutes. There you go. Not a bad render time at all. And I actually upgraded my graphics card. My graphics card that was originally in my PC when I built it was a 750 Ti. I upgraded to a 960 here recently. So that's it. That's my PC build journey / story. This has been one of the longest videos I've done in a long time. And I'll see you guys next time.